Welcome. In this video, I'm going to put this Automoblocks text onto the front. This is just a quick mock-up of the part. I didn't make the real part. But the Emboss Tool is a tool that it's kind of like an extrusion, but it can wrap and match the curvature of a surface that's not flat. If I zoom in from the side here, you can see the top face of the text is actually following the curve. So if you can pick that up. Alright, so how did I get this? One of the main things I wanted to show, I'm just going to undo that and redo it, is to show you how to use the text tool as a sketch. So first, just a couple quick little things. I need to create a work plane that I can draw on that's going to kind of be out in front of that. So let's see, I chose a plane that is at a certain angle around an edge, so I just chose an edge here, and then I chose some plane, and then I can control the angle, and I might not get exactly the way I had it before. I'm not sure. It was something about like that. Okay, and then I did a work plane where I was tangent to a surface and parallel to another plane. So I was saying select a surface or a plane, so it doesn't matter which order. I'll check this plane, and then I'm going to choose this surface, and that just gives me a plane that's out in front. Okay, that's going to be my drawing plane. I'm going to start a new sketch on here, and if I want to get rid of that other work plane, I can right click on it and turn off the visibility. Here we go. And now I'm in my sketch, and instead of making shapes to create a closed loop, I'm just going to come right here to the text tool. So I'm going to choose that. Where I click is going to become the top left corner of my text box, and I'm going to type my text, Automoblocks. I can hit enter real quick, okay, just a preview. So I can see the size and orientation, and there's some problems here with that, so I'm gonna have to like spin it around. Okay, so I had to pause the video and mess around with this for a minute to figure out why my text was on the wrong side of the plane, and I do have a way to fix it. Okay, so I'm going to delete this work plane that has that text. Now that was an offset plane from this one, and I want to keep the work plane 3, so I'm going to right click on work plane 5, delete. And the one I'm deleting did consume work plane 3. This says, do you want to additionally delete the consumed? And I don't. So I'll uncheck that and say OK. So work plane 3 is still there. And I'm going to edit the dimension of that work plane when it was created. Remember, that was created at an angle. And so I've got this arrow where I can change the rotation or the angle measure. And basically, I want to flip this thing around 180 degrees. So I can grab this and kind of spin it all the way around and get it in the other direction. And so if I really want to be exactly opposite what I was, I'll be at -45 and accept that. And that's going to fix it. Let me turn the visibility on for a second there. And now we'll do our work plane where we're going to be tangent to a surface and parallel to a plane. So we're going to be tangent to the face, parallel to that angled plane. Now I'm going to go turn off the visibility of that one that's slicing through the material. And here's my sketch surface. So we're going to start a new sketch. And back to the text tool. Where I click is the upper left corner of my text box, Automoblocks. I'll just hit OK to kind of see. And that's actually, I'm on the right side. It is upside down, but I'm just going to apply the rotate tool. So I'll turn the text tool off, right click and OK. I'll choose rotate. First I have to select what to rotate. Then I select a point to spin around. I'm going to use this cursor, and I'm going to grab a corner of the box, and then I can rotate it. And to be really precise, if it doesn't snap, you're having trouble, you can type over here the angle, which is going to be 180 degrees. Hit enter. And I don't want to make a copy. I actually wanted to move the one I was rotating. Okay, so there you go. So that's smaller than I want. I can move this around. I can just double click and get back into here, and I can change the size. But to change the size, this won't affect the text here unless you highlight the text. So I need to click, hold, highlight, and then I can come in here and type. Let's go to point. Notice that was 0.12. So I'm going to double it to 0.24. Take a look at that, and that's decent. Okay, so for the sake of right now, there are some other tricks to like lining that up. Your text box, for example, the text is bigger than the text box. It didn't resize, so you can take the text box and you can grab that corner and kind of fit it, frame in your text very nicely. Now you can use that text box to try to center it up. You can even use the dimension tool on it, you know, how far from an edge, and to get things located precisely. Okay, so I'm not going to take the time anymore for that, but let's just kind of assume that I got it right where I want it with some precision. And I'll say finish sketch. Now that text, that's just a sketch. Okay, it's not an actual part of my 3D model. Okay, it's not on there. But I can use it just like a sketch with a profile to do 3D features like extrude. But I'm going to use a tool called Emboss, and if you look at that picture, Emboss just means to kind of leave a raised or possibly a recessed feature right onto a face or a profile, and it'll actually kind of wrap and marry up to the surface, even if it's a curve. So we're going to use Emboss. First, they want me to choose the profile that's going to get embossed. That's my text. Okay, I have to choose a depth, and I'm going to make it 0.05. We'll see what that looks like. Here I can choose if it's going to basically be a raised surface versus an indentation, like an engraving. I can flip directions. We'll see which one comes out, and I can choose to wrap it to the face, which is what I want to do. So if I'm wrapping it to the face, I need to now choose the face. Oh, that was already auto-selected, and I'll choose the curve. So all that, and I'm going to hit OK. And that looks pretty good. Let's go back in though, edit the feature, and let's change the direction just to see what that would have done, if that affected much. And it didn't really affect anything. Sometimes it's fun just to play around and test things just to see what happens. Okay, the visibility of that work plane I can turn off in my browser. And if I want that text to be a different color, I'm going to choose that feature. I'm going to left click on it, and then I'm going to come up here and choose that color wheel, and I'm going to add a different color or tint. So I'm going to play around with this. I just want it to be dark. Accept that. Okay, and it's still the wood material that I had applied to this piece, but that makes it a different color. So there's using the text as a profile to select, and in this case we used the Emboss tool.